Hello Year 7, it's Miss Mulcair here. So today we're going to be looking at adventure articles. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you've gone onto ClassCharts and downloaded the colon worksheet. So the colon is a type of punctuation. It's this one here with the 2 dots, and it can be used to introduce a quotation, example, or an explanation. So I have 3 examples here for you. The first one is the host made an announcement, "You are staying for dinner." So the colon there is used as a quotation to introduce a quotation. The quotation is in the quotation marks, "You are all staying for dinner." The second one is, "There are lots of things I need for camping: sleeping bags, pans, utensils, and warm clothing." So this is when the colon is used to introduce examples. And then the third one is, "He got what he worked for, a promotion." So here the colon is used to introduce an explanation because what he has worked for is the promotion. So what I'd like you to do is to pause the video and complete the worksheet, identifying what the colon is used for and adding it in the correct place. If you would like a challenge, you can also create your own examples for each function. So one for quotation, one for example, and one for explanation. So pause the video now to give yourself a chance to do that. Okay, so I've got the answers up here for you. So if you want to pause the video and just check through that you've got all the answers. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the features of a newspaper article, and we're going to do this so that you are able to easily spot the difference between fiction and non-fiction texts. So today's word of the day is volatile. So the definition of volatile is something that's likely to change quickly and unpredictably. And sometimes that can mean in a bad way. So it can be maybe someone who gets angry really quickly out of the blue. Or perhaps a volcano might be volatile in that it can explode at any time. So pause the video and complete your word of the day mind map. Okay, so we're going to look at all the features that we normally get in a newspaper. So we have a headline, a byline, quotes, introduction, the body, and a photograph and caption. So what I want you to do is, if you know what any of these are, write them down and their definition. And if you can, there's a challenge there for you to create some examples of each feature for yourself. So pause the video to give you a chance to do that. Okay, so I've got the meanings of each one here, so you can fill in any gaps that you might have. So a headline is a heading at the top of an article in a newspaper or magazine. So it's usually quite big and bold, the first thing that you see. And then you have a byline, which is a line in a newspaper naming the writer of an article. You have quotes, which is words spoken by another person. Introduction, which is information at the beginning that will tell you what the article is about. And the body, which is the text that forms the main content of the article. Finally, there's the photograph and the caption, which is when you have a picture and then a short explanation of what you see in that picture. Okay, so we're going to read through an article called Weekend Warriors today. There's a copy of this on ClassCharts for you, but I'm also going to read through it on the video for you so you can follow along. What I want you to think about while we read is what you notice first, what you think it's about. Did you like it or dislike it? Why? And can you notice any of the features that we've just talked about? So some of them might be there, some of them might not be there. Just keep an eye out for them as we read. So we have Weekend Warriors, Adventure Beckons in the Brecon Beacons by Hannah Louise Summer. With abseiling, zip-lining over a river, rafting and hikes, a 2-night camping adventure in the South Wales National Parks proves energy sapping and boundless fun. I'm being pelted with water, dangling from a rope, slipping, now spinning. Move your hand, it's the only way you'll get down the rock face, my guide Paul tells me as I try to work out where I go from here. I shoot down and land in a pool. Graceful, this is not. This abseiling session is just one part of a new wild weekend in the Brecon Beacons with Bristol-based adventure travel company Secret Compass, and it's first in the UK. With 26 years of military service behind him and months spent volunteering for disaster relief charities, my guide Paul Taylor is stern, The aim, he tells me, is to give you a taste of the extreme expedition lifestyle. In reality, though, this is more energetic adventure than true survival mission. Seasoned campers and hikers will have a laugh romping through the countryside while trying out new activities, but those more accustomed to holidaying on a beach and sipping margaritas will definitely find elements testing. We can't see over the rock edge, but the whoosh of water suggests this will be our trickiest challenge yet. I'd mentally prepped for freezing temperatures, endless rain, and sodden, blistered feet, but we're blessed with glorious sunshine. Our group has 25 miles of terrain to cover, on a trail that varies in intensity from flat stretches to harder, almost crawling climbs. I inflate and paddle a pack raft 3 miles along a canal, stroll alongside the Taliban Reservoir, and trudge uphill with the entourage of an intrigued sheep. It's followed by a hike along craggy Famju, one of the most spectacular ridge walks in the UK. The first expletives are uttered on the afternoon of day 1, in a painful 500-metre clamber through the freezing cold water and mud of the Torpentau Tunnel on a disused rail route. There's a sense of relief as we make our way to our camp for the night, but there's one more challenge to get through first. Attached to 2 towering trees is a stretch of cable, and the only way to cross the river 20 metres below is by zip-lining over it. For me, unfazed by heights and permanently hungry, it's a fast-tracked route to dinner, but for the acrophobics among us there are anxious, furrowed brows. With a bit of faffing we make it across, and head into the forest to pitch our tents, finally finishing in a gloomy night shadows. Continuing the expedition taster theme, we light the stove and choose between just added water pouches of curry carbonara and fish pie, and dine under the romantic glare of our head torches. The combination of adrenaline and hiking means sleeping is easy, and we drift off to a soundtrack of the owls. The following morning, after cooking the bag porridge, we set off for a big climb. Various routes lead to the top of 886-metre Pen y Fan, and in true expedition style, Paul leads us along the toughest. Near vertical-looking paths wind between steel grey rocks and pools of icy water lined with snow. While the group's pressing on at a decent pace, this is Paul's 205th summit, and he often runs up here with his border terrier Hercules. The climb is not an easy one. There's a reason the SAS used the Brecon Beacons as a training ground, and following a leg-wobbling pier over the edge of the mountain, we experience the Beacon's vicious wind and volatile microclimate on our bum shuffle on the way down. The best is yet to come. We gather in a web of ropes and branches as we are talked through our vertical descent. We can't yet see over the rock edge, but the whoosh of water suggests this will be our trickiest challenge yet. One by one I watch the group, harnessed, roped, and a little wide-eyed, reverse off the top of a 40-metre waterfall before I, legs trembling a lot more than I'd anticipated, grip my rope and step backwards. I'd expected 2 days of mentally and physically demanding challenges. What I hadn't banked on was a hell of a lot of energetic fun to go with it. The softy survivor in me is well and truly satisfied. Okay, so I have a glossary here for you for a few of the words that you might need some help with. So if you want to just have another read through it and make sure you fully understand all of these words and any more you need to check, that's fine, before we move on to some questions. Okay, so what I want you to do next is to answer these questions in full sentences. So the question number 1 is, where in Wales are the travellers going to? And then the example sentence starter there for you is, the travellers in Wales are going to. So all of the questions need to be answered in that style, please. So pause the video, make sure you've opened up the article from Class Charts so that you can refer back to it if you need to, and answer these questions. Okay, some more questions. So these are inference questions. So question number 1, what impression do we get of Paul the guide? So again, this needs to be in full sentences. So you'd start off by saying, Paul seems like he is because... Okay, so again, pause the video, make sure you've got the article so that you can refer back to it, and answer these questions in full sentences, please. Okay, so the last thing I want you to do is to just write down how confident you feel about identifying features of an article based on this lesson. So you may totally get it and understand everything. You may be a bit sort of halfway, kind of get it, but might need a little bit more help with it, or you're completely confused and need a lot of help. Either way, as your teachers, it's good for us to know so that we can give you the help if you need it. Okay, Year 7, that's it for today. Thank you, and see you for another video in a couple of days.